Oh, okay, well, this is a good start. This cat's going to be all over the place today. I can see it already. Hello, welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to just be doing a little talk about the brand new Caskets Reflection album. See it as like an album review, if you will. These are just opinions. It's not right, it's not wrong. And yeah, I just wanted to basically talk about it. I've had the weekend to listen to it. It came out on Friday, the 11th of August. The same day I released my final single reaction video, which was the Believe song. In the Believe song, I kind of said it was all right, but it wasn't like my favorite single that they'd released. However, upon hearing the album, I actually quite like where it's placed. It's placed basically the opening song of the album, and I think the faster pace of this song works really well with that. It doesn't kind of take too long to get into the album or into the song in this situation. You can kind of like get the energy and you can kind of get into it quite easily. It's kind of grown on me since then. I really like the kind of rolling choruses. So it's been good, like a good opening song. Then we move on to More Than Misery, a song that once again is growing on me. Overall, this album is going to be like a grower, kind of grower, not a shower. I really enjoyed More Than Misery, especially as like we get into kind of the pre-chorus, chorus bit with like the long elongated like scream, which does happen quite a lot throughout this album, which is definitely a trait of Caskets, and why wouldn't it be? He's very talented. I enjoy the feature quite a lot as well. It's quite interesting to see a feature so soon into an actual album. Like, it's the second song, but yeah, definitely Telly Smith's. I don't listen to the word alive a lot, so I don't really know how you pronounce it. That feature I spoke about in my reaction video, where there was a sense of more like vocal, like screaming vocals, but not the ridiculous metalcore low growly kind of vocals in it. It seems like a common theme throughout this album where they do incorporate quite a lot of metal elements. I wouldn't even know how to describe this genre for the band. They're quite mixed, they're quite all over the place, which makes Caskets really cool, by the way. That feature is the start of kind of like me identifying quite a lot of like metal elements throughout. What I mean by that is like the guitar, like the tones from the guitar and like the heavy bass always kind of starts coming in. I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is going to be heavier than normal with them. That does eventually fade out and it kind of goes back into like a Caskets sounding song, which kind of brings me on to kind of like the third song on the album, which is like In the Silence. I won't lie to you, In the Silence to me, it feels like a bit of a filler song. It feels like this is the same concept that they've done previously or throughout the album, but just not done as well. It is a bit of I wouldn't say it's a skippable song, but it feels like a filler song to me. It doesn't really hit the spot for me at all. It was just like, oh cool, this is another song off the album. There was nothing that kind of stood out to me at all. The next song, Too Late, I thought it was gonna have a bit more of like a dancey, poppy vibe song. I thought, oh, this is a bit experimental. This is a little bit different. I can get behind this. And then it just kind of like molded back into like their formula. I did like near the end of the song where it kind of changed up and it went down like oh, are we about to get a metal breakdown here? They really teased it, and I was thinking, okay, well, this is a little bit different. They've added another layer to this song. It wasn't a breakdown, but it seems to be another kind of amplified vocal moment with like a guitar solo kind of in it. I wouldn't say any song on this album has a breakdown in it, which is cool. I'm kind of happy with that. I like having things that lead up to a possible breakdown turn into like a really cool, talented bridge instead. It definitely did kind of pique my like interest near the end of the song, and I ended on a little bit more questioning, like, oh, I actually quite like that bit at the end, and I quite like the bit at the start. So is the bit in the middle really that bad or really not that interesting to me? I don't know. We then get into By the Sound, which is a single that I have done a couple of months ago, and I think is probably one of the strongest songs on the album. It was such a good single to react to at the time. It's ageless. It seems like possibly another kind of Glass Houses, Lost in the Echoes kind of vibe, which are two Casket songs that I will always remember, always have nostalgia listening to. So By the Sound, I don't need to talk too much about that. It is like it's a perfect song, 100%. 6 Feet Down, I really enjoyed the chorus of 6 Feet Down. A little bit harder, a little bit more like rockier, metalier. I'm making up words here, but you get where I'm going. Which I quite enjoyed. I found quite interesting. Catchy chorus, but it was a different kind of chorus to like the previous songs that we've listened to. Silhouettes sits on the same bit for me within the silence. It just didn't really do much for me at all. I can't even remember Silhouettes now, just thinking of it. I'm not saying there's any skippable songs, but I'm just saying they're just a little bit, okay, cool, that was good, moving on. Guiding Light is 100% probably, up there with By the Sound, probably even better than By the Sound, really. First single that came out right near the end of 2022. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Every time I listen to it, I can feel the power in his vocals. I can feel like the guitar. I can just feel the music. Guiding Light, I think, was very clever of them to release as a first single. Following up with By the Sound was a very good choice as well. Hate Me was really good. That was the song that like they had been teasing throughout the album, but they never got to the point I wanted. But Hate Me definitely had that. Very kind of chunky guitar tones, really standing out a lot for me. It was just a different type of heavy for me that I'm not quite experienced with. That's what makes Caskets stand out. It feels almost like a bonus track. I had to like double take to make sure it wasn't the last song on the album. Instead, it's the last song that hadn't been released on the album. That was quite nice to leave that near the end. I really enjoyed that one. Really did stand out to me a lot more than Silhouettes, In the Silence, Too Late. Hate Me stood out more than 6 Feet Down, but I still quite like 6 Feet Down. And then finally, we are ending on the song Better Way Out, which I think is a perfect ending to this album. Not so happy ever after story, but a more positive, optimistic approach to continuing on from this album. Very important message behind it. It's just a good note to leave the album on, I think. It was just like had a lovely message. It slapped as well, still very good. So yeah, I've just basically spoken through the whole album. I think it's not like a, oh my god, this album has blown me away, this is the best album like of the year. Definitely not. God, I sounded really negative there, didn't I? I think this is like the second proper album that they've released. So I'm not gonna say that like it was the best one, but I would definitely say there's a lot more songs that I'm gonna remember off of this one than the previous one. Obviously Glass Houses and Lost in the Echoes are like pivotal, they're just amazing. But this one offered a lot more of a stronger sense of an album. You can clearly see where they like stand out and are talented in. Like the vocals are really, really good. He kind of gets that across in every single song, part of the formula that they do. I do truly believe that they didn't have the these metal elements in the previous album. I might be wrong, let me know if I'm wrong on that. They are definitely evolving and experimenting, and I hope that they can kind of add more to their repertoire in the coming songs that they will eventually create. So yeah, not the album of the year, but I definitely would say that it is definitely on the right track. I can think of plenty of bands that I have absolutely loved where their second album's been solid, but then songs or albums after that have just blown everything else that they've ever done out of the water. So hopefully that is what Caskets are going to do. I'm all here for the journey. I thoroughly enjoyed the album. It's definitely something that's going to be mixed in with all of the kind of like calmer, more like not as hardcore heavy songs that I listen to. Let me know what you thought about that album down below. Tell me your favourite song. What's your least favourite song? Let me know of any other albums coming out in August that you think I should like listen to. I think Holding Absence are releasing an album on the 25th of August, so I might do a little review on that. I will see you in the next video real soon. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe. See you later. Goodbye. And a little bit harder, a little bit more like rockier, metalier. I'm making up words here.